Check. Audio? Maybe? I think I see it. Yes? No? Need some audio. No sound, no sound. It'd probably be helpful if I read the comments while I was talking. Do you guys hear audio now? Anybody? At all? Okay. Yes. Okay, sweet. Awesome. Okay, so it is a little bit delayed, obviously. So I'm going to watch this screen. Okay, so what I was saying that you guys now have to fill in the void of what was not there. I just literally figured out how to do back on Livestream about 3 minutes ago. I've been working on it since 6:30. I'm like, yo, Livestream is not the same anymore on YouTube. And you got to download another program, do all this stuff. And I forgot how to, oh man, I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, I got it before I thought I got it. But if you guys are popping on in here, let me know where you're from. What do you ride? It's been a while since I've been on the live stream, but now I can. So I'm really excited to get this back into some kind of routine. Maybe once or twice a month, hop back in here and just talk to you guys and see what you guys are dealing with and see if I can't lend any help. I don't know it all, but I can hopefully lead you down some kind of path on the right direction. Quick, we'll wait a couple more minutes for people to pop in here. But short topic. I always want to like bust out some kind of small topic before we do questions. If you have a question, as soon as I'm done talking or about the subject or whatever, we'll see what we can do. But if you have a question and want to put it up here before it's all done, be happy to help you guys out. But what's going on, David? Peace, our chick. Xavier. What's going on, Joe? Acevedo. I can never get that right, dude. Got Coon, maybe Coon Dog in here? Maybe? Everyone's telling me there's no sound. Eric, what's going on? David Meyers. Got some coffee. Oh man, I've been working on this 350 majority of the day. Motor's done. Bearings in the, what do they call them? Steering stems. And swing arm is on. Yeah, progress. We're actually going through this entire thing. Nut, bolt, screw, and washer. Crankshaft to transmission to top end. All in the membership we've been going through. It's step by step, man. From tear down to rebuild to problem after issue after another problem after issue after solution. All the way through it. It's been really cool to do that. Yeah, so let's see, we got some questions popping off already. People riding Triumph 955s, Magna V45 from the 80s, 99 Magna. I got one of those over there. Wait, you can't see it. It's behind this one. Yeah, it's behind that one. We're actually gonna go through the carbs and go through that entire bike very soon. Suzuki Marauder VZ800. Coyote Thrill, Stunt Rider, Ontario, Canada. Too many bikes to list. I hear that. Shadows, lots of shadows. Good bikes, solid bikes. All right. So 8 minutes in. All right. So what I want to talk about with you guys are usually you find two different things in the airbox. Okay. One of them being a disgusting whitish, clearish, yellowish, oily substance either sprayed all over the airbox on the inside, or it can actually pool up at the bottom of it. Okay, do not worry. This is actually a very common situation that's going on inside your bike. Okay, if you have not completely ripped out everything that the bike came with, you have the airbox on still, stock airbox and stock filter even, or just the piping that goes to it. And we're talking late 70s. Some of that stuff did not have catches for the air boxes, like the old 70, 71 stuff. Depends on what the bike is, really, truly. But I would say late 70s into anything now that's not fuel injected. Airbox is going to have some type of, even fuel injected stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about. The process that's going on inside that motor is that when you start and stop the bike, moisture's building up. Okay, moisture's building up, which is creating this nasty substance that needs to find its way out. Some kind of breather, some kind of ventilation for the crankcase, top of the head, wherever it needs to go. It needs to be routed, or they want it to be routed back into the airbox. Okay, they're trying to make it as efficient as possible. So they're trying to reuse the air coming from the motor back into the airbox to help reburn it, reset it back to the airbox so that moisture, whatever, that collection, that oily, nasty substance can collect somewhere, not spew out all over the road, ideally, even though some are designed to. Some are not capped off. Most of the time, the oil that builds up is from a couple different things. One of them being short rides. Okay, you're riding from A to B in 5-6 minutes. You're there, boom, done, and the bike is never getting operating temperature. You're not able to bake out that moisture coming out of the motor. Okay, it's very common. It happened to me all the time, especially on the Nighthawk 750s. I remember there's like a little clear tube. If you look at your airbox and you see a tube running out of the bottom of it down somewhere onto the frame, wherever, excuse me, might be capped off, might not be. That's actually a drain. That's a drain for the airbox for that oil to go somewhere. Drain it into something, not onto the ground, ideally, but whatever. My Nighthawk, I remember I would I would get onto the interstate. So I would get up to 60 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour from, I'd say for 5 minutes, maybe. And I'd boom. And I was back at work, right off the interstate, done. In about 2 weeks, I would drain a cup and a half out of that airbox. Lots of moisture building up in that thing. Until I started taking longer rides, so I wouldn't go straight home, I'd ride out. Saw less and less of it. Okay, but still, the process is normal, is what I want to get at. So people, you pull out the VT1100, you pull out the air filter, and it's just, there's oil all in the bottom of it. Or a TRX, or that's not too common on TRX, but it can happen. That substance that's taking place in there is a normal byproduct of what's taking place inside the motor. Okay, clean it out. If you've done something terribly wrong, like overfilled the oil on a catastrophic level, maybe it would pop back up through, but more than likely it would foul the plugs and then you'd be done. I mean, a lot of things would have to go wrong, like losing compression, oil making it on top of the piston, sending it back out of the carburetor. It's very unlikely, actually. So it's normal. Okay, very normal indeed. Just clean it out, wipe it out, paper towels. Use gloves, because in many cases on a lot of manuals they'll say that like that substance is like highly cancerous. So don't take shots of it or bet your buddy to do so. It's apparently more dangerous than normal oil going into the motor, but what do I know? That's not what we're here about. Second thing, fuel. Okay, lots of fuel. I've seen this a lot on a lot of the 750s. And the reason why I want to talk about this topic is because it's getting close to be wintertime, or it is wintertime actually. It doesn't feel like it was today. It was 77 today in Virginia, 40 degrees tomorrow. But anyways, once winter's over, right? So let's say you're like, you know what, I'd rather just ride when it's a little bit nicer outside. No harm, no foul. I'm not against that whatsoever. You're going to bust the bike back out, just fire it up, and then you notice that it won't run. It tries to run for a minute, and it stopped running, and then all of a sudden you see fuel coming out of wherever it wants. Airbox, pop the top or the side cover off that airbox, and I've literally just seen fuel just like a wave down out of the airbox. I've seen it on 1100s. Many times you won't see that because it's already took place. Let's say you set the bike up, wouldn't run, you go away, if you're like, oh man, it wouldn't start, you come back to it. Fuel's kind of evaporated out of the air box, but now the motor won't turn through. It's almost like it's Hydra locked because that fuel's made it's the float on the carburetor is stuck, and it's dumped fuel out into the air box, dumped it out into the cylinder. This is fuel that's just not stopping. It's just the fuel's on the tank, and it's just going to keep going. So gravity will take its course, and it will make it down all the way into the motor. You'll notice that your oil level is very high. It's way higher than it, 2-3 quarts over. Really, it's just a gas oil mix, and then it raises that level. I've taken out on CBRs, on some of the older like F1 stuff. I've taken out the oil cap to check the oil level, and it just starts coming out. Oil and fuel starts coming out because it's just filled that entire motor. So when that happens, or if it's happening in the moment, right? You pop the air cover off, whatever, and you go to start it, and all of a sudden, boom, gas starts coming out of places, and you don't know what the heck to do. Just stop the fuel flow out of the tank. That's your number one priority. Just stop that at least. Okay. If there's an excessive amount of fuel in the air box, put a towel down. Whatever you gotta do, soak it all out of there. As long as you stop fuel flow, you can start working from there. Take the spark plugs out of the motor. Okay, go ahead and pop those out. Inline 4, V4, twin cylinder, single cylinder, I don't care. Popping them out. You're going to want to turn the motor through to get the gas out of the cylinder. Okay, do this all outside if you can. Don't do this in the living room, at a hotel, whatever. Just do it all outside somewhere where you can soak up gas. But you're going to want to turn the motor through with spark plugs out, get the gas out. It's going to shoot 50 feet. So don't be staring at it like this to see if there's any fuel inside of there, because it comes out quick. Cover it up with something like a towel or whatever. Once you've established that the fuel has stopped, you've not drained hopefully too much gas into the cylinder, time to figure out what the heck happened. 9 times out of 10, something inside the carburetor has stuck. That something being a float valve. Okay, float valve is designed, gas coming in, you have a float inside the carb that once it reaches a certain level inside the carb, it shuts the valve off, not allowing any more fuel to come in, saying, I'm good, this is all the fuel I need. And you guys have probably seen me do any videos on float height checks and that kind of stuff. I've talked about it 1,000 times, but that usually something happens, right? So let's say you turn the gas off, all the gas evaporates out of the carb, and the float, obviously when the gas evaporates, that float's dropping, which means that needle is dropping, the same needle that allows gas in and stops gas. Once that float sticks down and you go to flush gas back into it, say, all right, time to ride again. And even on cheap carburetors, like cheap Chinese stuff, I've seen it 1,000 times. You go and buy a carburetor off of Amazon, it's $10.99. You're like, sweet, I can buy 10 of these for the price of a carb clean, until your float sticks. And then it sucks because then you can't ride, you have gas everywhere, and it's just going to happen again. So float valve sticks down because the gas dried, evaporate, boom, you put gas into it, float's not going anywhere. It's like, nope, been here for the past 3 months. I'm going to stay right here. Gas continues to flow, and that's the end of that story. Okay, so ways to stop that would be to fire the bike up often. If it is happening, and it's maybe like on a TRX, you see on four-wheelers, they have like an overflow line coming out of the bottom of the carb. Sometimes you can just simply tap on the bottom of the float or that chamber, not with a hammer. I've seen broken carbs because of that. Float bowl, you just tap on it with like the butt end of a screwdriver or something like that, and sometimes that will break it loose. Maybe hop on the bike or do whatever you can to kind of jostle that float in there. Because I've replaced brand new factory carbs. The guy takes it home on the back of his trailer. He goes to ride it. The float stuck wide open, gas everywhere. He calls me back pissed because it's a brand new carb. This shouldn't be happening. But in that transition of him getting home, somehow that float just kind of wedged its way down. Now I have to have a return customer over something dumb because it's a brand new carb. So it can happen. It's more often than not, float issues are the problem. Now, if you have a 5750 that's vacuum operated, or a Nighthawk, or whatever else is vacuum operated, old 650s, 700s, 800s, whatever. that requires two things to fail. Okay, that means the float sticks, or it's incapable of holding back whatever that fuel tank has in it. And you have a vacuum operated fuel valve. Vacuum operation is supposed to only operate when there's vacuum applied. Motor starts up, boom, vacuum applies to the valve. That sends gas down to the carb. Float valve then does its thing. Too much, too little. It takes in whatever it can get and it stops what it can. Vacuum operation fails, sticks wide open, or starts sucking in gas. They can fail in a couple different ways. But let's say it gets corroded in there, and vacuum operation sticks. So now it's just constant fuel flow. Now it's just a matter of how long that float level is that float valve is gonna last until it fails. Okay. So that's that. That's a good 20 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't know. If you guys have any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer you. But that's really all I want to talk about. It's those two things. It's the same thing with vacuum operation fuel valve. You still want to just somehow stop that fuel. Vice grips. I call them hemiostats. I think that's what they're called. You like clamp onto like veins. I have a bunch of those. Those work great. Turn the fuel off. There's just that's how you stop that situation. It's bound to happen. Keep the carbs clean. Keep the bike running. Don't leave old gas in there. Use stabilizer. All that's very helpful. But I've seen things just deteriorating faster and faster as time goes on with gas. So hopefully that helps. Oil in the airbox, normal. Clean it out. Fuel in the airbox, not normal. That sucks. Stop it. Fix the problem. Clean the carburetor out. Do whatever you got to do to ensure that float valve is going to work properly. 9 times out of 10, the carb is probably a little bit dirty. You need to clean it out. Or a little bump tap on the bottom of it will solve it. Believe it or not, the biggest pain in the butt carbs are the smaller stuff for like CRF 50s, 80s, 110s. See, those, I don't know what it is. Kickstand down, boom, all the gas is leaking out. On a brand new float valve system. It's stupid. But, hemiostats. David said just order some hemiostats. There you go. They have angled ones, flat ones. They're awesome. So, let's get into some questions. That's enough talking. My mouth's dry. Maybe we can answer some stuff. So, I'm going to pop back up to the top of this list. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming and hanging out with us. How many people we got in here now? Sweet. 41. That's what's up. I'm just glad to be back, guys. Thank you, everyone who watched the video on the time-lapse back into the garage. It's been awesome. It really has. It really has. What a really cool transition to being put into. So I'm pumped to be back. Planning out videos now for you guys on YouTube. Planning out stuff for the members. Lots of stuff going up on there. I think I put 2 more up on there today, but cool stuff coming, guys. So I'm pumped for that. I will be having a free trial period. If you guys ever want to see what's inside the membership, we have a private Facebook group. We have a private community. It's called a community forum, but it's just a place where everyone can hang out outside of Facebook. A lot of people are not on Facebook anymore, but a lot of people are on Facebook. So I have those 2 options. So community page for that. That's really cool. Hours and hours and days of content on there when it comes to motor rebuilds. That really getting into certain specific things. Just all in there. And then obviously they have their connection with me, and I can talk to them, help them out, walk them through some stuff, supply manual information, specs, from all mainly Honda stuff, but I do what I can do. We do have some guys over there with Kawasaki's and all kinds of stuff. So that's my pitch. Now it's time to get some questions. No sound yet. Yes, sound. Now we got sound. All right, here we are. I have a 19, let's see. Don Long says, I have a 1980 Honda CB650. So that's inline 4, rubber mounted motor with vacuum operation. Pretty much the same carbs that are on the newer 750 Nighthawks. Pretty much. The same with 20 plus years. I got it running, but have some questions. One, my number 3 cylinder seems to take a few to warm up. If it sat for 20 plus years, I know for a fact those carburetors were disgusting. Disgusting. So, it's very easy to miss stuff on carburetors that are in that bad of shape. Okay? Unless no one ever put gas through that bike, I highly doubt that they were in good shape when you were like, psh, 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 and then throwing back on. So, me saying that, not to discount how well you clean the carburetors, more likely than not, it could be something to do with the idle circuit for that cylinder. You could have had, if it sat for that long, was it sitting outside? Was there a carpet thrown over top of it? You know, and then it cylinder has moisture in it, and one of the rings started to rust, or they stuck, or the valve seat has some crud on it because when it finally came to a stop for that 20-year period, the valve was stuck open, and then a bug took like 20 dumps on top of the valve seat, and then it couldn't seat again because it's crusty now. You know, there's a number of things. If you can get it running and you hear everything kind of chugging along, see if you can't maybe add a little bit of choke to it, see if it picks up. Maybe if you run it on full choke and you're running the bike, do all the cylinders now heat up evenly because you've added that enrichment to all 4 at the same time. So all of them are getting more fuel, more air at the same time. Does it warm up better like that? If it does, chances are number 3 could still be having some kind of clogging issues with the slow speed circuit, transfer ports inside. There's like 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 that are making tunnels all throughout that carb body, man. So even if you look down the throat and see that butterfly open, you'll see like 4 holes. As soon as that butterfly opens, like 4 holes right there, transfer ports. So if those are clogged, those are also waiting for air to be rushed by and to pull stuff out of it. Even at idle. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. So double check on the carbs. Check that spark plug out for that cylinder. See how it looks. Let's see. Carl Lemix. Probably butchered that. Hi, Cody. Thanks in advance for your help. Changes made regarding your topic. I made a bigger hole in my air filter box and disconnected the front cylinder breather from the air box now. No big deal. You're probably just going to run that. Obviously, you probably put the breather, either put a filter on there or you did something like that. So it's probably going to go into a filter, and then that filter is going to get full of junk, full of black, nasty oil, and then it's going to start dripping down to your motor. So make sure you clean the filter. A lot of the cafe guys do them. They'll put filters on the end of their breather hose, and then it turns disgusting, and then it starts collecting gravel. So just make sure you keep it clean. That's my best advice for that. I wouldn't run it wide open with no hose or anything. I'd route it somewhere. What? Tony Camacho. Well, we're going to wrap this up, guys, right around probably like 8:15. Tony Camacho, what is your opinion on a 1987 Super Magna 750? Cool bike. Really cool bike. Kind of rare. Excuse me. If it's in, I mean, it's just like it's very similar to the non-Super Magna. So carburetors are a pain, but once they are perfect and dialed in and synced right, and just it's music. It's music to my ears to see those things run well. They are just fast, good low end, comfortable to ride. It's a great all around bike. Great all around bike for sure. In addition to Carl Lemix's comment, connected to a similar. Oh yeah, see, I should have just read down. Connected to a similar filter, airbox was so dirty. I was thinking that no more oil should go into my airbox, but I have problems of carburetor jets with more air. Okay, so I get what you're saying. You have carburetor issues because now you have more air because you poked a hole in your air box. So it depends on where the problem's at. If it's mid-range, high RPM stuff, try raising the needle up, popping like a main jet in there that's maybe 5, 10 sizes over, maybe 8 sizes over. Just you gotta start picking at it, man. Because you once you mess that kind of stuff up in the airbox, restriction of the airbox goes out the window, and now you're dealing with tuning issues. So try going up on the main jet needle, and then bigger main, maybe a bigger idle, 2 or 3 sizes, nothing crazy. Might not even need to touch that actually. David Meyers, my shadow ain't happy. Okay. Peace, love. Is it possible for a carb float to stick? Fuel to fill the float bowl, and if a piston valve is open, fuel will work its way into the lower end and mix with the oil. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Peace, love. If you check the beginning of this video out, I think I kind of went into that a little bit. I've seen it 1,000 times, man. 1,000 times. Most of the time, you'll deal with something like that, and it'll Hydra lock because the fuel will fill up the whole crankcase, or it won't leave the rings because you got a great seal in there, and then eventually it drains down. But Hydra lock, man, because you can't compress a fluid. You cannot compress it. So as soon as that piston that cylinder fills with fuel, however much, and you go to set it off, get it started. I've seen. Wow, there goes my live stream. There it is. I've seen the. Am I still going? It is still going. I'm sorry, guys. It just like went away for a second. On a Valkyrie 1500, I've seen it Hydra lock because it's very common on the left hand side when it's on the kickstand. Fuel will do its thing. There's 6 carburetors. One of them's bound to go wrong when it sits for a long period of time. Float sticks or vacuum operated fuel valve on that same bike go straight to cylinder like I want to say 3 or 6 or something. 136. I think it goes to 6. Cylinder 6. Left side 136. So 6. And fuel just goes right into cylinder 6. The guy went and started it, and then it snapped the gear off of the reduction for the starter. The reduction gear for the starter. Because there's so much momentum behind that, it went pop, and it hydro locked. Nothing moved. Something broke. Had to pull the motor. So it can totally happen. That's why I said pull your spark plugs out. Jansen, welcome back. Thanks, man. 87 Magna. What's my opinion, Tony? It all depends, man, on the condition. I have a customer who has a gorgeous, gorgeous Magna from the 80s, and he puts the money into it that needs, makes sure everything's good and new if he can, and it's cherry. But if it's junk and, stuff's missing off of it and things that make it nice are gone, covers, it's been outside, tank's junk, man, just move on, because it's hard. It is hard to get parts for those bikes. John, hi Cody. This is not a question. I'm just getting into the conversation. Thank you so much for your videos. You have helped me with my project bikes. Just with you have put up. You are amazing. Thanks, man. Don Long, and a couple of noises on a tick, believe is coming from the transmission. That's not good. See, keep reading. We're getting down to some good ones. Where was I? Alright, I'm gonna skip down the list a little bit. WW Lawn Care. I have a 02 750 Spirit. It has no airbox, but I have pod filters on it, but they suck water in when it rains. Yes, they do. How do you feel about velocity stacks? Do they work good? They work the same as pod filters, but without a filter, and they still suck in water. So, yeah, they work great for whatever application works for you. If it's a daily rider, I mean, sure, but it's the same condition. You're going to run into a situation if you get splashed by a car with water. Now you're on the side of the road. But they work great. I mean, they work for the application that you want them to, I would say. I'd stay away from them if that was my daily rider. I'd stay away from pod filters if it was my daily rider. But they're fun. Rebuilt the cars with my 85 Sabre V65 VF 1100 runs mint. That's right, Jason. MX Guru. What's up, man? Tell Paul and Ryan Melton from MTA Distributing. Says hi. Great channel. Oh. Yeah. We deal with MTA Distributing. And I know Paul. If you're talking about Paul, the parts guy, I know him. Let's see. Keep going down. Already, my battery's dead. I've been charging it with the tender for 2 days straight. But when I put the key in ignition, still nothing happens. 2 days straight. So, the battery's been dead for a while, then the tender's not going to touch it. Okay? If it's got a dead cell in it, if it's an old battery, I'd say if it's more than 3 years old, and it sat dead for a while, batteries will eat themselves, cells will begin to calcify, and then it's just done. It will never get to the voltage that it needs to do anything. If you have all your lights, if all your lights come on, one quick thing you do is check your horn to make sure that you do have power going to stuff. If the battery's hammer dead, then it's probably not going to do anything. It might come on for a second and then go right back off again. If you have no lights at all with the battery that you have been charging, might be worth to see if any fuses have popped on the. Actually, already, I know who you are. You have a CB919, so it's kind of quirky to get in and out of that battery situation there. It's very easy to pop fuses, I would say, when you're installing and uninstalling batteries. So I'll also check the tender out, right? Check the tender out, plug the tender onto the battery onto your car, and just while the car's not running, and put a meter up to it if you can, like a voltmeter, volt DC, and just see if you see anything coming out of it, right? See and make sure the tender is working and that it's connected and there's no fuse popped in the tender itself. Sometimes there's fuses on those as well. If the battery is more than 3 years old, it's probably a bad battery. Let's see. The Facebook group has been invaluable in helping me get my bike running well. Awesome, Eric. So cool to see that, man. Let's see. Making our way down the list. There is an end in sight. About 10 more minutes. I don't know anyone about these older bikes. I'm gonna call that repeats around these parts. MX Guru, nice. Any motocross or off-road peeps around these parts? Guy I work with, Seth, just rebuilt a 05 YZ250 two-stroke. It's bad, dude. It's pretty sweet. He's trying to get back into riding. He's been riding a lot in New York, but now he's back here. He's just sold his KX 250F, bought this YZ250 that was clapped. And I mean, it's sweet. It's sweet. When I'd like to go riding with him. There's a old MT 250 I'd like to take out. Let's see what else we got. Garrison Hopper. Got an 83 Nighthawk 650. Looks like it was sitting for a while. Changed the oil and all fluids. Cleaned the carb. Started when I bought it, but now it won't. Any suggestions? Does it start off the starting fluid? Is the vacuum operation system working? Is gas making it to the carbs? You said change all the fluids, all the oil and fluids, clean the carbs. Did you check the spark plugs out? The spark plugs are junk. I had a guy in the membership building this super legit four-wheeler out of a newer 2016, 17 CB650F, right? CBR 650F, CB 650F, probably CBR. And they got so many of them now. But it's 650F, newer motor, fuel injected, and he put that jank into a four-wheeler, hand-built four-wheeler frame, and it is sweet. Well, you would think that, hey, fuel injection, pretty much bulletproof, make sure everything's working, make sure that all the smart sensors and FI systems checkers stuff is all working. Sorry, I got this gnat in my face. It should all be working, right? He went through everything. Every switch, every sensor, every diagnostic trouble code, retrieving codes that we could possibly come up with, and it was spark plug. Yeah, fired up once, but when he first got it all together, he never fired up again. I mean, he turned that thing over, never fired. Change the spark plug out, boom, good to go, done. Spark plug. Stupid. I hate when stuff is that simple. Wish you would have done that, months ago, obviously. But check the spark plugs out on it, man. Make sure the vacuum operation is working. If it's not, you don't know, bottle feed it. Run a hose straight to the carbs, bottle feed it with some kind of external fuel source. And then check for spark. It's just basic things. You need three things: spark, compression, fuel. Spark, compression, fuel. So just make sure you got all three of those, and then you can go from there, really. AICD 1999. Hey, glad you are back, Cody. You moved, but are you still with the Honda dealership? I sure am. Absolutely. I am there every day, besides today. Jimmy, what cleaning solution do you dip a carburetor in? So to date, from people who I've talked to, the best solution is with I would say a 50-50 or maybe a little bit less as far as a cleaner goes, but a 50-50 mix of simple green and water. I like to keep things warm. I use a ultrasonic tank, so I have a bunch of things going on: vibration, Omega Sonic cleaner, and water with pulsing magic going to the tank. But I've heard people using simple green and water. 50-50, don't leave it in there too long. You'll turn the metal black because the pH is so high. People who have used Chem Dip, that works decent. It's just a very corrosive chemical that will also turn the metal black. So just 30 minutes, 25 minutes, use a simple green and water, man. Try putting it on a little pot and getting it kind of hot, not boiling, but hot. You don't want to create a chemical bomb or anything, but soak the carbs in there, man. Just soak them in there 20, 30 minutes, see how they do. Give them a shake, blow them out, rinse them off, scrub them, put them back in, whatever. But that's what I found that works pretty good, man. Simple green is some pretty killer stuff. David, my tractor was Hydra locked and I fixed it using a new carb. Does that make me a motorcycle mechanic? Absolutely. Let's see. All right, 2 more minutes. We got like one question left. And my AirPods are dying. Perfect timing. 1994 Virago V35 runs great, but right off of idle, no acceleration. Just putting along. It runs a little lean. Do you think the washer under the mixture needle would help with that? Probably, but I think that's like a band-aid. Right off idle, not accelerating, just putting along. It runs a little lean. So I imagine that when you get out of off idle, so that when you're past fourth a quarter throttle that it smooths out. So I would back the mixture screw out, maybe a half turn. If it's got two carbs, back them both out. I don't know what a 535 Virago is, but I'm sure it's just like any other Virago. Back the mixture screws out and see if that doesn't help out at all. And you can try raising that needle up. And that's going to band-aid over all of the circuits. Not necessarily idle per se, but after idle. That might help clean the carb out. If it's lean and you know it's lean, you're just going to band-aid it with external changes like mixture screw, and they're kind of internal, I guess. Let's see what else. Recommend aftermarket parts supply for Honda Shadow 1100. I would do like Babbitt's Honda or Revzilla. You can still get. I mean, I don't recommend aftermarket parts. It depends on what you're talking about, like fairings and lights. Then, I mean, anywhere that you don't mind spending money. But when it comes to like parts for the bike, I wouldn't. Like aftermarket stuff is typically most of the time lower quality with stuff that you actually need. So I don't have a recommendation. I mean, you can. I mean, it's. I don't know. Aftermarket parts is Amazon and eBay, I guess. I don't know, two things I can think of. But other than that, man, Babbitt's Honda, get good stuff, dude. Factory OEM stuff. Clayton Stevens, hey Cody, sorry I'm late. What carbs have been the biggest pain in the butt that you've done? I would say 80s model 750s. I would say any inline four set of carbs that you have to pull the throttle plates out, pull the choke plates out, the whole rod and everything. That's just a nightmare, man. I hate doing that. I dislike that. I can do it. The CB550 stuff, the 550Fs, there's a lot of parts going on in that. A lot of things that you can break and get wrong. Those are really tedious. Really, like you're just every little part matters, you know. So those can be a pain. I mean, I remember one time I struggled really badly with this, which I've done 1,000 of them, but like this one particular Goldwing with 1500, which is just two carburetors. It wasn't. It turned out it wasn't a carburetor issue, so that's not actually kind of a stupid story. Those can be hard to diagnose though, because there's so many air supply systems. There's like 6 different air supply systems for a 2 carburetor system, way over engineered. But anyways, I would say that like the inline 4 stuff can be really tricky. I'm not worried about Valkyrie carbs. That's just it's one bite at a time. VF750 stuff, not worried about that. But some one-off quirky inline 4 systems were just a pain. They're just a pain. All right. Because I can just keep going all night. So I'm going to wrap it up. But I'm going to do one more question. Let's see. Who's going to be the lucky person? All right, Eric. What causes the bike to be rich besides mixture screw? Oversized jets. So it's a wrong jet. Someone has taken a jet and just punched it out. Put a big old fat drill bit inside. I had one guy. He had a Ruckus, and he took the idle jet. Okay, if you guys have ever seen an idle jet, it's got like 2 stages in it, right? It's got the big stage where the little motion holes are drilled in. It's nice, big, and fat, and all of a sudden that goes into the actual size of the jet. So it's 32, 34, 36, 42, 80, whatever. That's where it tapers down into that size. My man takes a drill bit that was the same size as that beginning emulsion section and just plummets, boom, right through it. It was like a 97, supposed to be like a 32. Caused it to run rich. Didn't run at all. So I've seen that. Clogged air boxes, like air filters that are just heavily, heavily clogged. That can make it run rich. Excessively tight intake valves. I'm sorry, excessively loose exhaust valves. Excessively loose exhaust valves. Because, the reason why I say that is because your intake valve, let's say it's clearanced out to the correct amount of throw, so the valve's coming all the way out, all the way back in, taking all that air and fuel, but it's not leaving, right? So it can appear like it's running rich because the exhaust valve's like, because it's just it's whacking on it, it's just barely opening it up. But you would run into more situations with the way it's running prior to just being like, oh, the spark plug's rich, but it's not getting all out of the cylinder. So it's just kind of hanging out. That can make it appear to be rich. Yeah. Too cold of a plug. That can make it appear rich. Plugged exhaust on old two-stroke. That can make it appear to be rich. Yeah, there's a couple things. But mainly it's just the wrong jets. Someone's punched them out. Someone's messed with them. Or, yeah. Or they plugged the vacuum line. They plugged the vacuum port for one of the carbs that shouldn't be plugged. So that's it. Guys, that's it. 8:20. It's almost an hour. Thank you guys for everyone hanging out here. Man, I love it. I love being back here. So, again, stay close to the email. If you guys are not on the email list, be sure to get on that. Go to themotorcyclemd.com and join that list because I have a free troubleshooting cheat sheet for you. Something that I've kind of like hand drawn and written out with some really quick steps to diagnosing certain situations on the bike, starting, charging, all this cool stuff. And that's free for you guys, man. So just check it out. Get on the email list. If you want to know more about the information with the membership, dial in, maybe talk to me more, get some problems solved, whatever. Hit me up on there as well. There should be a link in the description of this video. What else we got? Still have shirts. Shirts are still, I'm running out of